up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse, the big game, the green jacket of hip hop podcasts for golf people out there. This is State of the Game, and I am Dano. I'm your host, and I'm a mediocre DJ. I have been a DJ in the past, but I'm middle of the road, and I'll tell you why. I can't commit to a theme. I've spent my whole life trying to throw music that is not alike in a list together so that I'm absorbing everything.
Right.
And that schizophrenic approach doesn't play with a crowd.
Oh, no. You got to get the flow. It's all about the flow.
So that's my burden to carry. But I am joined, as I am every week, with the Ricky Henderson of DMs. We're talking about KD.
Sliding in him.
Yep. No one slides quite like KD. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We got it. So everyone was obviously talking about this Kendrick Lamar beef situation with Drake, the big three, the end of the blog era. Crate 808 had a 3-hour conversation with it. With Dylan Green and Kia Turner, Rohan contributed all. It was incredible. Covered every bit of it. I wanted to make sure it was us doing this. I didn't want guests. I wanted it to just be me and you giving our thoughts, and do kind of like overview. This is the kind of shit we used to just do on break in the cafeteria. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's what this is right now. So, should we go? Let's go overview here.
Yeah.
What did you learn from this? What is? Oh no, first take type question. You know those first take sports shows?
Yes, that's literally the name of the sports show.
FS1 yell at each other until the neck bulges shows. They always have that question. Did this team win the game or did this team lose the game? Right? So that's ultimately the question is like, do you feel like Kendrick won this or did you feel like Drake lost this?
I mean, Kendrick won it, clearly. I mean, whatever you want to call this, battle, beef, war, whatever. Kendrick won it. I mean, that goes without. I don't know any. I mean, I don't know any lens in which you could say Drake won.
No, you could say Drake won? What?
Drake, any lens in which you could view the battle as Drake winning it.
No, and no, this is not. Did Drake win or did Kendrick win? Did Kendrick win or did Drake lose the thing?
It was Drake.
Catastrophic degree. My setup was not good enough. In the game, especially in the playoffs, we're in the NBA playoffs, you see series where one team wins, but it doesn't feel like they won. It feels like the other team imploded.
Right.
So are we talking about an implosion situation or are we talking about just clear victory?
No, just a clear victory for Kendrick, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm on team implosion.
Okay.
I've started looking at this like it's Macbeth, basically. This is not.
I mean, this is our modern day Shakespeare. Like beef like this. This is our Romeo Juliet of the era. You know.
This shit is Macbeth. So, but I will say, yeah, and we'll get into all that. But I just think, the way the strategies worked didn't align. Can I give you a political comparison?
Okay, go ahead.
This is strategy shit, right? This isn't moral shit. This is strategy shit.
Absolutely.
Let's talk strategy. So when Hillary Clinton went against Trump in the general election, right?
Mm.
I've always thought the reason Hillary lost, and I know there's a lot of interesting stuff, Russia and all this stuff floating out there. I always thought the reason that she lost was she kept pointing at him and saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. You're so offensive. It's terrible." This made her seem like this made him seem like the badass, right?
So
And
bad, not bad guy, badass.
badass.
Okay.
It just made him seem like a crazy, interesting, controversial figure. And it made her seem like someone who was, you know, tattling, like to the teacher. You know what I mean? Like that's just how the optics laid out in those debates, right?
Interesting.
So yeah, go ahead.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
No, because I would agree. Oh no, I'll let you finish because I think we're gonna get to the same point. But
So then the reelection comes and things have changed, right? The joke of Trump as president is not as funny to a lot of people. Biden runs, and Biden's strategy is I'm just going to look presidential. I'm going to shake my head occasionally, but I'm going to focus on looking presidential. Biden's got a hot temper. Biden talks a lot of shit. I know how hard it was for him to keep it locked in, right? He had to keep it locked in. And what that did was instead of Trump looking like a badass, he looked wild and reckless and unprofessional. Because he had Joe looking the part next to him.
And it's interesting that you mentioned both elections because I think the first election, I think Trump painted Hillary as kind of like a tryhard. Like you're too polished, you're trying too hard, you just need to relax. Right. And Hillary was the thing that she pointed out about Trump to me was, how almost laid back he was. Like he was too laid back. And he was he was laid back and he was charismatic in a way.
Yeah.
I think the Biden versus Trump election showed there was like a recourse against that where it's like, oh shit, maybe we don't want our president to be this casual. Maybe
right.
And so there was like, it was almost like a course correction where then we as a nation reverted back to what we knew a president to be.
Right. Like Biden showed up and said, right, I am a Washington insider. I'm a professional.
Yes.
This is my job. So yes. I know everybody's listening to this going, how the fuck does this have anything to do with Kendrick and
no, I see where you're coming. Yeah.
You're getting it. So strategically, if you go back to the Pusha T versus Drake situation, right? And Pusha T had more experience battling and doing this stuff than Drake, right?
Yeah.
Pusha T was dissing Wayne at his height. At Wayne's height, he was like, fuck that guy, right? Like, that's not
Mr. Me Too. Yeah, that song was about him.
But the mixtape shit was crazier. Like, people don't know. The mixtape shit was crazier. Yeah, shout out to the Re-Up Gang, the greatest group that never was. But the Pusha T went hard at him, right? The Drake didn't win that battle.
No.
But the way he finessed it to make it through the battle was, if you remember Scorpion, right? I know you have an encyclopedic Drake knowledge. Scorpion.
I do. So
Scorpion had that beautiful skit where somebody was like, "Oh, you big man, you big man."
that was Ply. Yeah, that was Ply. That was Ply's meme. The rapper Plies.
That he adopted the big mad strategy.
Yeah.
Right? The big mad strategy for Drake was, hey, this guy over here, he's all cranky, he's all big mad. Look at him being old and mad. How dare you be old and mad? Like that was the whole thing, was like, I'm not even sweating this. I'm too cool for this.
Yeah.
Right? Of course,
I think he used the angle of the accolades and almost like Pusha had nothing better to do than to district.
Exactly. So the big mad strategy is, yeah, of course he's like going harder at me because I don't care as much about this. I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just on I'm just
Right.
on a national platform in a fake barbershop with LeBron James doing an hour-and-a-half interview about it.
Right.
Sure.
Because that's kind of the strategy he used against me. Before Pusha. Almost strategy. Like that, right? That laissez-faire, like come on, dude, don't take the shit. You're taking the shit too seriously.
So that worked against Push. Because the big man strategy worked against Meek because it was him being like, I dropped all these diss tracks. I'm busy and I don't even care.
Right.
And I'm still doing better than you. So
you're on your girls world tour.
Boom. So
right.
Yeah. And it worked with Pusha T in a sense to cover the damage. Because
okay. In terms, I don't think it worked against Pusha T, but it helped him recover, like you said, from the damage.
It gave his fans a narrative to move on.
Right.
Right. The narrative was, hey, that dude's big mad. He's not a big deal. You know, we're off making hits. We're off living our life. We don't even care. Right. And the funny part is, in real life, Drake kind of kept sending subliminal, weird things over at Push for a while after. And Push kind of just moved on and was like, I'm not going to dig for your subliminals if you
yeah, I mean, I think I think story of Addenon was just so, like, he knocked him out. There's no need to revisit it. Like, it's like a UFC fight. Like, I've knocked you out within the first 2 minutes. What do we need another fight for?
Right.
And I think Drake did I mean, like you said, the recovery, he did a good job creating a narrative after the fact where he could save face. Like, oh, I think, what was the story? He was like, what is it? Who's the guy from Houston? Prince, DJ Prince? No.
Oh, Jay Prince.
He was like, yeah, like, I had a diss track so awful that, Jay Prince heard and told me to shut it down.
Yeah.
And that's not my character. Like, I didn't want to stoop to that level that Pusha did, so I just let it be.
You're better than this.
Right.
That's awesome. So like, and that frames it almost like, when like Batman almost kills the Joker. Oh, I can't kill.
I could have. Yeah.
I'm better than this. It was okay, fine.
Right.
But yeah, so the big mad strategy worked, right? But I identified immediately in this beef, oh, the big mad strategy is going to bury him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why I vote implosion, right? Kendrick is an electric performer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick is big emphasis, right? All of Kendrick's heroes were known for being emphatic in delivering the point. Tupac, Lil Wayne, Eminem. There's a lot of Eminem in his flow. I'm not gonna lie. So it's emphasis.
Nicki. I hear a lot of Nicki in his flow too, honestly.
Yeah. Emphasis. The ability
Yeah.
to stamp down and to go super hard and live in a bar so you hear that shit.
Well, I mean, Drake, his delivery is very, like you said, it's very like I'm too cool for school, like I'm too cool for this.
Yeah. And it
But
didn't
if
work.
you look, and I did think that was going to be a huge weakness for Drake because his flow, like his tone of voice, like he doesn't, it never changes. Like angry Drake sounds the same as happy Drake or sad Drake. It all sounds the same.
Right.
But Kendrick, since his first, since his first project, has been working on not only his flow and not only his flow and his lyrics, but the delivery of how he like emphasizes what he's saying.
Differentiating points of emphasis,
Yes.
with different tones of voice, with yeah. So he's at a different level with that stuff. And you heard there were surreal moments with Drake, right? Where it was like, uh, you know, if you had a gang, they'd probably give you a DP. You remember that?
What's a DP?
Oh,
I don't
double
know.
penetration.
Oh, okay. I didn't need to
Yep.
know that, but
Yep. Sorry, kids. All the kids listening. Uh, but yeah. That is something that shouldn't be sung sweetly at me. That you just sung a rape joke sweetly in my ear. What are we doing right now? What are we doing? It didn't work. And so to me, the Big Mad delivery buried him. It's what made it so he couldn't raise his level when Kendrick was raising his levels. Because these disses, when you chart them out, they're all at different levels.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that, the Big Mad, and then, just the casual, like it's arrogant. Like this, I just his whole approach from the beginning was obvious he didn't take it as a threat.
Yeah. He didn't, it feels like he didn't have a different strategy to employ.
No.
Right.
And
Like,
I think really what his strategy from the gate was to paint Kendrick as a tryhard.
and so that kind of shit works when you are billionaire Drake versus Pusha T, right?
You're right.
It works. It doesn't really work when you're going against a Pulitzer Prize winner.
And it doesn't really work when you've been lazy for the past 5 years in terms of your
Right.
your lyrics.
So you're sitting there acting bored.
Right.
And we're like, how are you bored? The guy just shelled your whole family.
Mm-hmm.
So the Big Mad strategy buried him, and that's why. And I am in no way saying that Drake is a better rapper, like, and that he could have raised his levels to win, right? But to me, watching this almost felt like I've seen boxing matches where like boxers quit in the middle of the fight. They know they can't win.
Yeah.
They quit. They either directly put their arms down or they just like, I'm just gonna tough it out. And like that's what happened. His heart left this fight at a certain point.
I mean, if you really think about it, how quickly it escalated. This all happened within 9 days.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the bulk of the battle happened all within 9 days.
Yeah. And in the moment, we need to talk about how we felt in the moment, right? And what we were
Yeah.
thinking. Because and I know that there might be some people who are like, Dan, I thought you were focusing on uplifting other artists or highlighting other music and you weren't going to be in the gossipy stuff. This was bars. This was rap. Like, This was real rap shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, this is not. Yes, there's like a gossipy level to it, but I mean, I really think that this was a battle kind of for the soul of hip hop as we know it.
It was, I mean, it was Tia Turner on that Create 808 podcast uh, said that it was the death of the blog era.
Hmm.
I don't want her to be right, but I understand the point. The big these how do I say so, and some of this is that it needs to be hammered out in a timeline. We're going to do a timeline,
Okay.
but the blog era was an open market, right? It was like one of those organic markets where you can get whatever you want, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I never even thought of Kendrick and Drake in the same space, right?
Mm.
Because in the blog era, you could be a Wiz Khalifa person and stay over there,
Hmm.
right? You could be a Kendrick person, stay over there.
Hmm.
Be a Drake person and be over there. You could be a Big Crit person and be over there. Like, there were some people who were like, Big Sean's the best rapper alive. There's some people who were like, A$AP Rocky's the future. Like you could just pick whoever the fuck you wanted to roll with and ride that
Hmm.
train. Like that, get in that car and leave. Um, that this kind of kills that a little bit. Because it was like, no, we're reckoning with this. Like, you know, it's
Just
these things are now representative of greater struggles, right?
yes,
Because
100%. Yes.
this goes back like some of the when you talk about the soul of hip hop, right?
Hmm.
Some of this goes back to the problems that Rakim had with Big Daddy Kane, like so the problems with that Jay had with Nas, right? Like some of this is, you know, um the hedonistic hit maker type versus the like, rappers rap. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, it was almost like I think that's the common battle, like the battle of the craft versus commerce. I mean, I think that's kind of been like the archetype that's
right.
we've seen throughout the decades.
Yeah. So let's
Hmm.
do a whiteboard. Let's get the whiteboard out. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Timeline. I think our timeline starts. Do we have need some bullet points in this sucker? Where they at? Oh, I don't know. So it's got to start with text right here. It's got to start with 2011, Buried
Okay.
Alive.
Hmm.
I think that's where
Okay.
you have to start it, right?
Okay. So Buried Alive off of Take Care.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the reason I would start it there is because we have that's the first time I knew that it was an like because like I said, I had never even put those two in the same space. I didn't even connect them or care.
Right.
Um I was a Kendrick guy, right? I didn't like Drake. And so Kendrick getting on that album, I was super excited. And I was super excited because I wanted Kendrick to take his fans.
Mm.
I wanted him to show up, because this is what happens when someone is filthy rich and mainstream, they get known as the best in the world because
Right.
everyone knows who they are. And the people who are great, who are as good as them or better, just nobody's heard them yet to be able to compare them. Right.
Mm.
So I was like,
Mm.
once these people get to hear Kendrick, like a lot of them will jump ship.
See, and what I'll say, what is interesting is, okay, so that was Buried Alive was off Take Care. Drake before that had not really rapped with any of his contemporaries or his peers. You know what I mean? Everyone who he had rapped with before, I mean, you look at Thank Me Later or Thank Me Now, his debut, his Congo debut album. Who did he have on? He had Jay on it. I think he had Jeezy on it. He had T.I., Nicki,
Right.
but Nicki was on his label. He had Wayne. So he hadn't really rapped with any of his like rappers on his like same age, like in his same age bracket.
Right. Yep.
And Kendrick was the first one for that, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So Buried Alive, he didn't destroy Drake's audience.
No.
I was in a dramatic space at that place. So that's on me. But he did become bigger because of that feature.
See,
And
it's funny because I didn't even know. I didn't even realize. I didn't really pay too much attention to the Buried Alive feature,
oh my
and
God.
I didn't even realize it was Kendrick until after Good Kid, Mad City was released
Oh,
like a year later, year and
it
change
was
later. I think.
it was a big deal. It was a
Mm.
big deal. It opened a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm.
It was key. It was really key. And from that point on, it was about positioning him to take over, right? Um, and he
Mm.
had difficulties because he wasn't as naturally a catchy hit maker as Drake.
Right.
I Here's the thing. I always felt Buried Alive was a diss to Drake. I basically felt at the time. Now, you can tell me I'm wrong if you want. I'm open. At the time, 2011, you remember my summation. He gets his
Yeah.
spot. He takes these fans away. I listened to Buried Alive and I thought, he knows what I'm talking about. That Kendrick is on the same page. He wants to be in the top spot, and he thinks this guy's gettable. He thinks this guy is going down.
Well, interesting because there is a level of, when you look at that verse retrospectively, you can see the tension.
Right.
You can see like, and I mean, I'm gonna have to go back to that verse, but you're right now. Like reflecting on it, you can hear the tension in it. Like, yes, he's looking up to, he's positioning it in a way like he's looking up to Drake, but that's not like an admiration. He's not looking up at him in
No.
admiration.
He wants that spot. He's hungry. So like,
He right.
yeah, and props to Drake for putting it on the album. Like, I've always thought that was a solid move by Drake to put it on the album, but you know, I was also very happy that he did it just because I like Kendrick more than Drake, and I was glad that he's gave Kendrick a chance to take his spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have to give Drake credit. Drake has always recognized talent,
Sure, always.
so I'll always give him that. Like Jay, he recognizes talent, so
Agreed.
I'll never take that away from him.
Yep, I'm with you. So next bullet. Next bullet. We're not messing around here.
Okay.
Control Remix, I believe, was 2013.
Let's see. Okay. 2013. Let's, because we got it. I mean, we do need to verify. Let me see. So 2000.
All I can do is Wikipedia, but we don't have Dart Adams here. But
Right.
yeah, Wikipedia says August 2013.
Okay. 2013. Okay.
So
Wow.
the remix, it's a Big Sean song with a remix that includes Big Sean, Kendrick Lamar, Jay Electronica.
Mm-hmm.
And Kendrick comes on, and it's really the first time that he tells everyone, I'm trying to kill all of them. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to take all of your fans. I don't want a buffet. I want it to be me.
Right. And we've got it between the Buried Alive and Control remix. Is he released Good Kid, Mad City, which was pretty much universally acclaimed. I still think it. I From what I read, it's still on. It's still on the charts, correct? I think it's still on the Billboard chart.
Good Kid, Mad City?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
So right. So he's experienced an incredibly rapid ascension between these two songs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so yeah, Control Remix is
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that blog era environment was very much a everybody mix, everybody play or don't play and carve out your own space. Like it was very free flowing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's when Kendrick first started to say, "Yeah, fuck this." Like I'm like he stepped in there was like, I'm kind of the Kobe Bryant of this shit. You guys keep treating me like I'm a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. I'm the Kobe Bryant of this shit.
I think that verse was the first time we had heard anyone be really competitive towards another opponent, I guess you could say.
Right.
uh like Jay was competitive, but he was always talking about his numbers. He was never like, like I'm a better rapper than you. Like I don't think he ever said that to Nas. He never said to Nas, I'm a better rapper than you.
Right. Right. Right.
Kendrick was sitting here talking like, yeah, I'm here lyrically, I'm a better rapper than all of you, and I need y'all to acknowledge that, or I'm gonna make you acknowledge it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. That's it. So that was an important one.
Yeah.
I think from that point, we might skip to 2023 if it makes sense.
Hmm.
Skip 10 years.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Skipping to
hmm.
the song First Person Shooter. Uh, comes out. It's on the Fall Off, right?
Okay.
The J. Cole album. And that's where, like, because that song is built.
Wait, no. First Person Shooter was on Drake's album.
Was that on Drake's album?
Yeah, that was on for the Dogs.
All the Dogs. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I thought it was on the Fall Off, but
No.
I really don't like For All the Dogs. I really don't like that.
I don't either.
I don't listen to it much. So, First Person Shooter is like so we find out later that that Drake extended a request for a guest verse from Kendrick so that it would be the big three. And they're talking about the big three in their verses. Like, Drake and J. Cole are still very excited to be in a big three.
Okay.
And that is the first inkling, I think, of like, oh, this guy is like actively is like, fuck a big three. Like, he's not into this shit.
Well, I don't think that verse was the first inkling wasn't till I guess what your next bullet point's going to be. But I think, in the 10 years between the control and the First Person Shooter, then we see the ascent of J. Cole.
Right.
Himself. Because at this point, J. Cole was kind of like an afterthought. So I think, in the decade between the two, we see like a real ascent of J. Cole to this spot where he can say it and no one's gonna laugh at him. Yeah, I'm in the big three too.
Right.
Like I'm in this conversation as well.
Right. Yeah. So J. Cole, like, so First Person Shooter, the biggest takeaway from First Person Shooter, because yes, now we look back on it, we're like, the absence of Kendrick speaks volumes, right? But in the moment, what you can get from it is, boy, does J. Cole love being in the big three. Loves it. Can't get enough.
I kind of took it as like because it's funny, like the first time I heard Cole and Drake on a track together, it was a song called In the Morning.
Yeah.
And I thought that Drake really just outclassed him. It was almost like a world of a difference.
Yeah.
And then when I heard Cole and Kendrick did like that Black Friday, I don't know if you want to call it a challenge, but they rapped on each other's songs.
Yeah.
And then for that, I thought Kendrick absolutely destroyed him.
Yeah.
So this was, I think, First Person Shooter was the first time that Cole could clearly say, yeah, I got the better of one of the top two rappers.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So he was ecstatic, and you could hear it in his voice, like, yeah, I'm waxing. This is the top dog, and I'm waxing him right now.
Yep, he was happy. He was happy about that. The next bullet point I wanted to put on here, maybe a lot of people wouldn't have this in the timeline, but I do.
Okay.
Big bullet point here. It's part of the story. Needs to be a part of the story.
Mm.
January 2024, Megan Thee Stallion drops Hiss because a lot of people have been going at her. But Drake is one of them. Drake immediately was waving the flag for Tory Lanez
Yes.
and going after Megan, really, who had said nothing about Drake. Like Megan
Right.
had
He
said
he, he
nothing about.
had like a line on For the Dogs that was specific. Like he likes to like shoot and then hide his hands.
Yeah.
So he had a line that was very clearly aimed at Megan. And then when they challenged him on, he's like, "Oh no, that I wasn't rapping about her. Y'all
Right.
are just misinterpreting it."
Yeah. He knew what he was doing.
Yes.
And he was saying shit too, like at concerts, and like he was saying shit about Tory Lanez and about Megan and all this shit. So
Right.
she comes back and her verse against him is crazy. It says a lot of the Kendrick stuff before Kendrick said that shit.
Mm.
We're talking about like you making fun of BBLs, but you got the similar scars.
Mm.
Like she was laying it out there,
Right.
like yeah.
I mean, but it got overshadowed because Nicki, you're right, Nicki was the one who got the brunt of like
The Megan's Law stuff and the
right. That
yeah.
was the big takeaway from it. Right.
Right, but there was a verse for Drake on there, and it's great. If you listen
Mm.
to it, I always loved Hiss. I always thought Hiss is amazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
Megan, when she's focused and in her rap mode,
Mm-hmm.
is deadly. Uh,
Right.
she doesn't spend enough time there.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the time, she's like repositioning for like radio play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you know, yeah, it is what it is. But songs like Hiss, oh my God, she killed
Right.
it. I just wanted to put that one on the board because it retroactively, it's the number one song on like the title list of her songs, right? Like number one most listened. And I think that's part of that is people going back after this beef and going, oh shit, okay.
I mean, I think that kind of set in terms of rap, the that kind of set the climate for the year in a lot of ways. So you're right, that was important because that did I think that did play a big part in the current climate that we have right now.
And a lot of people were like, why is Drake doing this? Like, why is he so mad at this lady who never did anything to him? Right?
I
Like,
mean, but that had been a common threat. Like he had a line for Esperanza Spalding on one of
right.
his. So he had multiple lines about Rihanna. He had a line about Haley Bieber. Uh, for goodness sake. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that had become like a common. He even had a line for Serena's husband.
Right.
Uh,
Of course.
So it become like a common thing. Like, why is Drake taking all these shots at women?
Agreed. Yeah, and it just begun to stick out like a sore thumb, but
Yeah,
unignorably so, right?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, next bullet point is March 2024.
Mm.
Like that. I did not like that album, to be honest.
The album or the song?
The album that is on. This is
Oh,
Metro.
okay, yeah, I didn't even hear the album. So
I tried. I listened to the first disc of it. It's long, dog. And Futures kind of feels bored most of the way.
Mhm.
But like that with Kendrick, man, that was a crazy thing, you know.
Right.
And Kendrick, being as cerebral as he is, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, you got to think. What's fascinating is we had not heard from Kendrick since, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think 2023, right?
Right.
Like we hadn't, because he had a verse uh he had like a guest verse on the remix for America's Got a Problem for Beyonce.
Right.
But other than that, we hadn't heard from him since, in terms of new like new verses. Yes, he was on tour, but he hadn't released any new verses or any new material.
Right.
So this was literally the first time we had heard from him in a year.
Right. Right. And it was basically like it wasn't a specific shot. It wasn't that specific in what it did. But it forced the issue to the front. Like it was
Yes.
basically, I'm tired of the tension. Fuck you guys. And the important line that comes out of it, I think, is the Prince outlived Michael Jackson
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
line that really everybody knows what he means at that point. Everybody gets that comparison. You sell
Right.
records than me, you're Michael Jackson, that's fine. But Prince was respected until the day he died.
Right. Right. I mean, I think that line, and I think the I think the big three line, and it wasn't even that, and it kind of ties into the point you were talking about earlier on in the show. Like the big three line, like the big three line it's not really groundbreaking, but I think it's the delivery. The way that he delivers it is something that Drake could not do.
Right. The emphasis.
Right. That's craft, that's skill, like being able, like the emphasis, the way like he's able to communicate, like you can tell when he's saying that he's disgusted.
It's also
It's just
strategy.
big
It's
meat.
also strategy, right?
Yes.
Like, so he knows the strategy and he fires that off. He knows they can't ignore it. He kicks back, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
kicks back. So then we got, I can't wait to get into this. What is this? I'm just going to make all these dots like this now. Fuck them. I like this thing. Okay. Boop. I'm exploring the whiteboard, Kay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a great audio experience with people doing the audio. So April 2024, we get 7-minute drill.
Mm-hmm. From J. Cole.
Correct. Off
Mm-hmm.
the Might Delete Later.
Right. He did keep his word.
And by the way, 7-minute drill, the second beat on there from Conductor Williams is dope. I really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely set the tone for like this battle's gonna have tons of beat switches. We're gonna do that, which is cool. We got beats laying around. We're gonna sew them together. Well, how did you feel listening to 7-minute drill?
Like for me, when someone says a bar that's just so unbelievable or so inaccurate, it almost kind of tells me where their head's at. So Cole, he had the line like, your first album was a classic, and then your second one put people to sleep,
But they gassed it.
but they gassed it. Like you know, like first of all, Cole's a smart dude. He knows that that's bullshit.
Well, and so do you know how you know it's bullshit? Because
How?
the line right after that, he said, "Your second, the put people to sleep, but they gassed it. Your third one was a classic." And he was like, and then, and then he kind of after that he goes into like, and that's where I'm at now. Like I'm in my classic. It was very goofy of like, yeah, you had
Right,
classic, your third album was classic, and like I'm hitting that stride now. I'm like in my classic album mode,
right.
buddy. And it was very awkward. Uh, that's what 7 minute drill is. It's really awkward.
I mean, to me it was grasping for straw. I think that was like he had a couple short jokes in there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
and
no.
that was just a grasp for straws. Like, because I think they really like each other deep down. I think they first of all they respect each other.
I'm glad.
Cole and Kendrick respect each other, respect each other's skills. So it was very obvious to me like Cole really didn't have anything bad to say about Kendrick.
I'm so glad that you said that. It's, uh, yeah. So the when it hit, when the news hit that he apologized at the Dreamville Festival, my boss went to that. I got to ask her how that was. Um,
Oh,
you might have seen him apologize, but everyone was like, "Fuck that dude. That's weak shit." All this, right? And then I looked up the apology and I watched it and I was like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like the way he describes, I don't know, have you seen the apology video?
I've seen clips of it.
It's good. It's like 3 minutes. It's good. It's because he talks about dropping the disc and then feeling shitty after,
Yeah,
like
for
really
sure.
bad. Um, and like he did some fake shit. And
Right,
and so I remember he's watching that going, yeah, I was feeling that way too. Like, so there's an interview. J. Cole's always loved Kendrick.
yeah.
There's an interview way the fuck back, way the fuck back. 2010,
Okay.
where they're talking to Cole and they're like, "What's your favorite song right now?" And he smiles. He says, "You can't judge me, but it's Pussy and Patron off Overly Dedicated Kendrick mixtape." And
Hmm.
he goes into this beautiful like description of why that song's important. It's not just about Pussy and Patron. It's about stress in your life. It's about like engaging with stress in your life. And he starts breaking the song down. Like he just loved Kendrick,
Right.
right? Kendrick inspired him. And I'm sure Drake did in its totally separate way, right? And he liked having both of those. I But yes, when I heard 7 minute drill, I felt similarly to the way he discusses feeling in the apologies because I was like, this really isn't real. Like,
Right.
this isn't your real feelings. This isn't your real thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can hear it in his tone of voice.
right.
Yeah. I think you could hear it. He just was not. It was almost yeah. You could hear that he was not into.
Yep. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So I believe, is the next one push ups? I think the next one is push ups.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're clumping it. April
So
20.
like a week, I believe it's a week later. right? Because that Saturday, the following Saturday, after, like a week after it, that's when push-ups leaked,
Right.
quote unquote leaked.
Yep. The leak. Yeah. It's
Mm.
so yeah, and push-ups. I I never really liked push-ups.
No.
And I didn't really care about the beef when push-ups happened. Like I basically the the notion that I was looking at, I was thinking so Kendrick knew these guys were dissing him. And Kendrick is like waiting it out and letting them audition. He's like, fuck both of you. And then he's being quiet and letting them get in their words. And he's like ready for it. He started the argument and then left and let them stew for like a month.
Well, I think him and Cole were on the same page. I for me, like, I think Cole, like, I wouldn't include Cole in that, because I think he let Cole, defended himself and then dipped out. Because I think he knew, I think that Kendrick was like, Cole, this isn't about you, man.
Right. Well,
I think they communicated to that them. I think he communicated that to him in some form, like, my man, this isn't about you.
and there are reports that he hit Kendrick and his camp reached out
Yeah.
to Cole and said, "This ain't for you, dude. You need to get out of this."
Not this ain't for you. Like, this wasn't even, this isn't this, you and I are cool.
Right.
Like this is about the other one.
And so, and that makes sense. Like, so to put J. Cole to rest, right? Before we
Yeah.
get into the Drake stuff directly, we didn't even include the Rick Ross champagne moments.
Which came after push-ups. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think we need to conclude that one.
No.
But Cole really liked being in the big three. He loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it because he was always seen as someone who had great potential but never hit it. Right? You remember Let Nas Down, you remember all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? And then the 2014 Forest Hill Drives album
Right.
brings him to center stage and teaches him a lesson. It teaches him the best thing I can do is be me. The only way I'm going to sell is by being me. Right? So then he leans into that. Honestly, it gets pretty annoying with him everywhere he goes, telling everyone he doesn't have features on his next album. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you. But that becomes his deal. It's like, I don't do what everyone else does. I'm different, you know?
I think he had a run of, I think what for me, what I know is Drake, I'm sorry, Cole in concentrated form is one of the best rappers on earth. In terms of concentrate, like, if you can get him for a verse, he's going to shine. But he can't do that over a project. That's always been my issue with him, is he hasn't been able to do that over a project in the way that someone like I'm sorry, someone that like Kendrick and Drake could do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're like, you hear J. Cole with Benny the Butcher, and you're like, J. Cole's the best rapper on earth for
Yeah.
45 seconds.
Yes.
And then he's back to being the guy who makes okay albums, mediocre albums,
Right.
forgettable albums. So whatever, but the bottom line is whether you think the apology shit was soft or whether you think it wasn't good or whether you think it was good. I'm glad he did it because it's who he is.
Absolutely.
That's who he is. 7-minute drill is not who he is.
No.
Right? The apology that he gave at Dreamfest is who he is.
Right. And I think that Cole is someone I honestly believe he just wants to rap.
Yep. Yep.
And I do think that he wants to be known as a very, very, very good rapper. Technically, you know, in terms of technical ability. And he is, for sure.
So push-ups comes out. How do you feel about push-ups? Is there anything about push-ups that
Well, I thought it was unfocused, and then I thought I was really worried for Drake because I was like, if this is the best that you have about him, short jokes, when your mentor is about the same height as Kendrick Lamar, and talking about his splits in terms of, you know, him getting what you as you believe to be screwed over in a contract, this is not going to bode well for you.
So yeah, and push-ups is not good because Drake, it's because partially because the beat is not great. The beat is not good. Yeah. But the other part
And
of it, oh go ahead. Sorry.
and I think he tried to play it as that, you know, like you said, I think he tried to take it like the playbook out of like Jay-Z's Takeover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where he was going to address the people, but also treat them like you guys aren't really a threat to me.
Right.
Uh, and so, you know, like, you know, in Takeover for Jay-Z at Takeover, he had that one verse dedicated to Nas, and then he just had sporadic shots for everyone else. Uh, and I think that's kind of the attitude that Drake was trying to take.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. It's yeah, it was very Drake struggles to beef nicely. He struggles to battle you without going super gross.
Well, it goes back. He continuously brings up women.
He goes right to who you're dating, right? I mean,
Right.
and I think in push-ups he starts talking about Whitney right off the bat, right?
He no not he makes in push-ups. He has the bar. He goes a bodyguard like Whitney, and he holds the Whitney to emphasize it.
Right.
So that was kind of the takeaway. That was one of the take. I mean, the two most memorable lines in that were, you know, obviously Metro shut your ass up and make some drums, and then the Whitney line. Those were the two lines that everyone was talking about.
So push-up, let's talk about the Metro line. That's a really awkward moment in this beef. One of the most awkward to me. Metro, shut your ass up and make some drums.
Some drums.
Because the beef that Metro has with Drake is business. The beef that Rick Ross has with Drake is business. The the beef that Future has with Drake is business. All these dudes who are piling on to Drake and you know, it's because of business. It's because he screwed them over in business. Like these are all people he's done an album with before.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And now they're all lined up against him.
Right. At the same time.
And so what did you do for all of that to happen? Huh?
Mhm.
Like all of your business associates? And like you can't even say anything really bad against Metro. You're just saying shut up.
Well,
And
I think it was the dismissiveness of it. It's like Jay-Z had that song, and for Take Over Your Head, for everyone else song Shots at Jigga, you only get half a bar.
yeah.
So that I think that's kind of what he was trying to do with Metro.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really come off that way.
Right.
But the more I listened to push-ups, the more I was like, he doesn't have anything good to say.
Right.
He doesn't have anything. Clip is empty. Like, um, so it's weird. It's weird. But by the way, my least favorite song of this whole thing is Tailor Made
Okay.
Freestyle.
100% mine as well.
Hate it.
That was the first
Hate
that Taylor Made was the first misstep.
Terrible beat.
Yep.
The AI stuff was insane. What a horrible move.
Yeah.
Uh, a terrible song.
And I think for me, what was most egregious was, first of all, the bars. I thought the bars were very lazy, but the most egregious part was near the end where he's talking and he's like, as long as as long as we've been waiting for you, I hope you're in your apartment working on a quintuple entendre.
Yeah, some shit that's confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, like, like something where even I won't get my boy. And I just thought that you could see the angle he was trying to go at as, Kendrick, you're a tryhard, man. Like,
Oh, it's the big mad. It's the big mad defense. It's
and
totally the big mad defense.
I thought well, that was a big mistake. And then also mentioning the young girls, uh, which he started off in the Tupac voice. You could tell. I thought like that was the first sign to me, like, oh no, this is not going to end. This is not going to end the way that Drake would like it.
Yeah.
He's not understanding the assignment.
Yeah, and so that's 3 disses. Kendrick lets all those disses go by and just chills.
Yeah.
And because Kendrick takes a long time to put out his albums, people think Kendrick's going to wait this one out. Who knows if he'll ever respond? So
Right.
that's part of Drake's laissez-faire stuff is like, this motherfucker doesn't even release music. Like, you don't even worry about this shit. But the thing about Kendrick is he gets that's what they're expecting. So that's why he goes hard, right? Now,
Well, he had the discipline. Like, I think what he knew is, because to me, I think Kendrick had been planning this for years.
100%. 100%.
Like,
the way he was. Yeah.
I mentioned it in passing, but he had a verse on Beyonce had in 2023. Beyonce, he had a remix to America's Got a Problem where he was on it, where he was speaking directly to Universal, the label that Drake is on, and saying like, look, like, you better do something that I want, or I'm going to come at this dude.
Right.
And at the time, like, no one knew what exactly they thought. They just thought he was being like obtuse or whatnot. But when you listen to that verse now in today's terms, you understand that he had been planning this for years.
Right.
So his silence was that, not that he was working on it. His silence was, okay, like, we're just tightening up the details.
Right. Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that he did that. Let me see here. I got to move this down. and do another bullet here. I was wrong.
Right. I was gonna say you're skipping.
Yeah, I was wrong in the order, buddy.
Mhm.
This all happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But oh, jeez, Euphoria comes out
Yeah.
first,
Hmm.
and then it's 616 in LA, right?
So right. So that will go that Friday tailor-made freestyle. So push-ups was on Saturday. Tailor-made freestyle was released on that Friday after that. And then Euphoria was released, I believe, on the Tuesday after that, after tailor-made freestyle.
So 616 in LA is a very forgettable song. It's kind of a jab thing. I wasn't super into it.
Mm.
Euphoria to me is when this is like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Euphoria is when you're like, oh wow, okay.
Hmm.
This has gone to the next speed here, right?
Right.
Because isn't that the one where he said like, this is what the culture's feeling?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm what the culture's feeling. Like this, I'm not even, this isn't even just me and you. I'm representing the people.
Yes. I'm just a spokesperson for the culture. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's crazy. And the beat switches and it starts off really quiet
Yeah.
and then it gets crazy.
I mean, it's just it's the contrast in terms of their artistry. Like, being able to control the flow, control the tempo, control how fast you go, the inflections, your delivery. It was just a masterclass in terms of more than just lyrics. And if you really like, if you listen to Euphoria, you can't even go back to push-ups because it's so elementary.
Right, right. Yeah. It's not, who cares? You know what I mean? Who
Right.
cares about listening to a fake Tupac verse when you've got Euphoria?
Right.
Ridiculous.
Uh, and and it just, yeah, I mean, that to me was, and if this was just like, I knew, like, if this is just his opening round, Drake was going to be in trouble.
Right. Yeah. No, it's hectic. That was a bomb, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh, Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but Fubu never had been your collection.
Right.
Uh, I don't want to hear you say the N-word no more. Like,
It's just like he picked up kind of where Pusha left off, but Pusha has never been like, in terms of delivery, like Pusha didn't really, he never really changes up his delivery or uses voices or anything like that in the way that Kendrick does.
right.
Like Pusha is pretty much even killed. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't, even if you listen to the story of Adnan, like he doesn't get to like, he's not angry at Drake
No,
when he's saying it.
he does use his voice, he does change inflections, but for someone like Kendrick, it's a religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he he learned from Missy and Wayne. Like his voice is always bouncing. You know, uh, so he's doing a lot more with it. Yeah. So
Like, he has so many different flow, even the way he delivered the sexy red line.
right,
Like,
right, right. Too bad, bitch.
like
Yeah.
you hear like how he or the hate part where I hate the way that you walk.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just engaging. That's artistry, like being able to switch your tone up like that and have the timing and understanding of spacing where you're able to do that. That's something that Drake just doesn't do.
Yup.
Yeah.
So, Family Matters comes next.
Mm-hmm.
Really, isn't it the same day as 616 in LA?
Yeah, 616 in LA came out in the morning. Family Matters came out at night that Friday.
And I want to be clear. Family Matters is the best diss Drake's ever made.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's long, but it's much more focused. It's yeah, it's the full clip, right? Um he goes full gossip Drake, where he's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's even saying shit. The thing about Family Matters is like, he'll be saying, I heard you did this, I heard you did that. And it's like stories about Kendrick that had just floated around the internet. Like he's just
Right.
like taking Twitter stuff. But the gossip gives him power. Drake feeds off of gossip.
Well, I think what he took away, and if you listen to his interviews, what he took away from the Pusha battle was that, and he mentioned this in one interview where he said, well, Pusha had the bigger gossip bomb. Like he had the line about my kid, and once he said that, like there was no way I was going to win.
Right.
So in his mind, Drake is rationalizing, okay, if I can drop this gossip bomb about Kendrick's kid not being his own, or Kendrick, having troubles with his marriage, that's going to get me the victory.
Yeah, totally. And the gossip god, he's trying to get kind of, I have tentacles everywhere,
Right.
right? Like I fed you misinformation.
But,
And so yeah.
but I mean, I think, but here's kind of where Euphoria ties into it, because like if you remember, like the first part of Euphoria was just Kendrick calling Drake like a liar and a manipulator. That slow part was him just saying, you're a master manipulator who is going to lie. And then, 616 in LA, he kind of continues on that, where he talks about the Twitter bots, and he paints Drake as being in a really desperate place, willing to do and say anything to control the narrative. And so when Drake drops Family Matters, that's the context that he's dropping that into.
Right. Yeah, dude. The so the next day,
Next 30 minutes.
right. Next 30 minutes, Meet the Grams drops.
Yeah.
And holy shit, over the Alchemist beat. That's a crazy beat. I love that beat. And we're gonna have to talk about this, man. It's a big deal. Where do we start with Meet the Grams? Talk to me. It's a lot.
Ooh, it's a level. See, this is what happened. Like when you write your own lyrics, and you've been really crafting your artistry for years, you can get to a level that people who haven't put that work in can't get to.
Right.
Like, you know, Drake, you can't release a Drop the Dogs. I'm sorry. You can't release an album like For the Dogs and then turn around and make uh a song like Meet the Grams.
Right. Right.
And so, you know, Kendrick just he just took it to a level where he knew that Drake would not be able to go.
Yeah. There came a point in my writing where I'd gotten better. I knew I'd gotten better.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not writing anything unless I feel it can be great, unless the mission is for it to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't give a fuck what it is.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what the premise is. Like, I'm not writing it to be good, even. Good is not enough. I'm writing this to be great.
Right.
So Meet the Grams is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's great writing. It's great writing. It's a great beat. It's spooky. It changes perspectives. It weaves in perspectives. But there's a very important choice made here.
Well, to me, there's an intellectual rigor about it.
Yes.
Like he that Drake has not. Drake is not. He won't go. He can't go that deep, and so that's kind of why he was trying to paint Kendrick as a tryhard, because he knows that he can't go to that level.
Right.
And so he wanted to paint everything Kendrick did as, oh, look at him trying so hard again. Like, dude, you need to, like, why don't you relax? Like, it's not that serious. And Kendrick showed him, no, it is that serious.
Right. Right. Yeah. Do I have this release order correct?
No, not Like Us was before Meet the Grams.
Oh, was it? Oh, because
I'm
before.
sorry, not Like Us was before The Heart Part 6.
Okay. I love the whiteboard. Okay. So Meet the Grams. The 1-2 punch of Meet the Grams and Not Like Us is unbelievable, right? Because Meet the Grams is the dissection, it's the thesis, right? Like,
Right.
Here's what I'm going to say to your son. Here's what I'm going to say to your mom. Here's what I'm going to say to your dad, right? Here's what I'm going to say to you. And I'm going to trace the lineage. Like, oh, you wanted to go into family shit? You wanted to talk about about my family? Let's go. Let's go into your family. Right?
Or who you associate with. Let's go into who you associate with.
Right,
Oof.
right. Let's go who you associate with. So, and it gets hectic at that point. Not Like Us, it makes it an anthem, right? It's not me dissecting you. It's the whole world gets to join in and say, yeah, 6ix9ine God, and call
Fan.
you a freaky ass, like, and
Yes.
the whole
Ovi Ho.
right, Ovi Ho, the whole world gets to chant this with me, right?
You
And
know, it's to
one
tell
beat
when you hear the tagline "Blizzard on the beat," Blizzard on the beat ho, as it Blizzard on the beat ho. Like when you heard that, the moment you hear that, that's when you know, like, Drake's in trouble.
mustard on the beat, baby.
Mustard on the is it mustard? Yeah, Blizzard
Yeah,
on the beat.
mustard.
Huh?
Yep.
Mustard. But yeah, that was really the. Mm, yeah. Oof.
It's from that point we were like, holy shit. Like I remember feeling like I read a lot of history growing up, and I remember they said the OK Corral took 3 to 5 minutes. Gunfight at the OK Corral.
Mm.
Legendary gunfight, countless movies made about it, right? Took 3 to 5 minutes. It was over. And I remember like thinking that's what this kind of feels like. Bang, bang, bang,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. Oh shit, it's over. Damn.
I mean, because if you think about it, he went from in 24 hours, less than 24 hours, he released a beat. He released a song that had an Alchemist beat, and then the very next song had a DJ Mustard beat.
Right. But,
So this,
and the
yeah,
other defense that the Drake people had was, yeah, that your song's lyrical and cool or whatever, but Drake has the better song, right? They tried to take it to the level of like Drake makes hits, so Drake gives you bangers, like, oh, it's cool, you got all lyrical and shit, but that's not a song, that doesn't hit, right? Drake
mm-hmm.
makes hits. So
Mm-hmm.
after Meet the Grams comes, that's what people are talking about. That's the defense Drake people are giving themselves, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's cool, lyrical miracle, break it all down, but whatever. Drake makes the better song. Family Matters is a better song. It's more fun.
Right.
Then Not Like Us hits, and that shit is sunk. It's sunk. The whole world's banging that shit.
I mean, I've just, it's almost like not, it's almost not fair. You know what I mean? That song is so good. Like it's first of all, at the time of recording right now, it's the number one song in
Oh
the
yeah.
United States.
Oh yeah.
So you got to think like a song accusing Drake of doing horrible things
Right. Pedophilia. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
is the number one song in the nation right now.
Yep.
It's like it's just hard for me to really digest. Like it's just you
So
know
so let's go to Heart Part 6,
yeah.
and we'll come back to maybe Not Like Us. Uh, once we got to bring it in conversation. We got to bring the Heart Part 6 is the Macbeth moment, right?
Mm.
That is the end of Macbeth. That is the whole that sad breakdown at the end. This has been good practice. Like he sounds so defeated, and like during it, you remember he does the Mother I Sober breakdown where he starts
Yeah.
making fun of Kendrick for being molested when that song is not about that. Like Kendrick does not say that he was molested in that song. He's talking about molestation and its
Right.
history and its effects on people empathically,
And
right? He's giving you the stories of the people around him. And Drake is like, haha, you got touched. That's why you're so weird about me dating these young girls.
yeah, that was brutal.
For people doing the audio, K Diggy is crying right now because he is so
No.
sad about Drake's situation.
It's not it's just brutal. I mean
Yeah.
it's
To
because
misread that
that's not, I
song
mean,
to that level, to like, so what it made me think of was, you remember there was a point where Kid Cudi and Kanye fell out, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it was at the point where Kid Cudi was in an institution going through a
mm-hmm,
mental, and Kanye dissed him and was like, "You're crazy. You're in the mental institution." Meanwhile, Kanye was like 6 months from it. And everyone was like, "Nah, man, that's fucked up. He's trying to get help." It did not go well for Kanye. And I was like, "Ooh, no, the audience doesn't like you making fun of people who were molested, bro. Like, how do you not know that?"
I mean, that kind of tells you, for me, that was also a sign that, Drake doesn't have the people around Drake have either checked out or they're just yes men.
They're yes men. They're yes men.
Because as a rapper, you need that voice to tell you, like, no man, like, that's not it. Let's cut that out. Let's go back to the drawing board. That's not the angle you want to go. And Drake had several. He even had that bar like, okay, if I was really doing all these horrible things, first of all, I'm too rich and I probably would have been arrested. That was another argument that he made. And that just tells me you don't have your team around you has either checked out or is not either checked out, wants to sabotage you, or is just telling you what you want to hear.
Do you know when?
Neither of those options are good.
Do you know when I know that Drake was surrounded by yes men?
When?
I highlighted on the screen 2013. What Drake album comes out in 2013?
So what? It was Take Care, and then wasn't. If you're reading this, it's too late. Was it?
Nothing Was the Same.
Nothing was the same. Nothing was the same. Yes. Okay.
Nothing Was the Same came out, and trust me, it's a great album. But it's the first time I was like, "Oh shit, this is a very like me and my boys are in a mansion partying all day" album. It's very insular, very bro. It's very fraternity feeling. Insular is the word, right? And that's when I was like, "Oh, he's got yes men around him. They're feeding him what he likes, and this is when it's going to start going bad." So that was my first deal there. But yeah, so what stuck out to me comparing these things, right? Take what we just talked about with the molestation humor in the Heart Part 6, compare that against Meet the Grams when Kendrick is talking to Adonis. He's saying all this terrible shit about Drake, right? And he stops and he says, "But you won't be like that. I'll make sure you're a king." I was struck by it and I was like, man, like Kendrick understands that no one wants you going at a little kid. Right? So Kendrick's like, "No, I'm going to shred your daddy and then I'm going to raise you to be what you should be."
I mean, it's the subtlety, and it's a subtlety and a nuance
and empathy, right?
And
like
empathy, right? That Drake does not, whether the empathy is sincere or not, I'll let, that's not for me to decide, but it's a level of nuance that Drake just doesn't have.
Right.
Yeah. So you can Kendrick can write a bar or can write a verse like that addressed to, Kendrick's son, and people will believe that he's being sincere.
Empathy strategically used in a battle is what won Nas that situation in Ether verse 3, right? Is like he inhabits the character and he goes, I understand, they called you ugly when you were young, and you know, and you saw me shining, and you got mad, and I get
Right.
all this,
Like, I'm
right?
not mad at you. Like,
Yeah,
I understand.
right.
I wish
And
you would
so,
respect me a little bit more, but I understand why you're behaving the way you are.
right. So that really pivoted everything and shifted everything. Uh, and so Kendrick astutely utilizes that and Meet the Grams, and uh, Drake trips all over it on the Heart Part 6.
Mm.
The other part, big part of Heart Part 6 that's insane and is laugh out loud. Like, he says that there's no way he could get away with dating underage
Yeah.
girls because he's so well known. You can't get away with bad deeds when you're famous. And and holy shit, after everything we got with Diddy, right? And like all the things he got away with for years and years, like, you know, the Epstein cover-up shit, like, you got to be a special level of tone deaf to say some shit like that. Not even necessarily believe it, but to think that's gonna work as like an explanation, just fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, it shows you the intellectual level that Drake is. And I'm not talking about Aubrey, I'm talking about Drake. You know, like Drake, the rapper or brand, it's very surface level. There's no, you know, there's really no intellectual digging that you need to do. So obviously, like when the pressure gets put on him, this is what you're gonna get. This is the kind of thoughtful analysis that you're gonna be able to get.
Yep. Yep. No, that's he, like you said, he kept the same tone. He was
Yeah.
all about the gossip. He wasn't taking anyone seriously, even though it was a mountain of people against him. That even though the BBL Drizzy beat was taking over the country, he just didn't care. It was so weird.
No,
Or
I think like when you've been lazy with your pen, I think like and I know we've said it. I think for the last at least 5 or 6 years, Drake has been lazy with his pen.
straight up,
And
absolutely.
I'm not gonna say I think it is Ghost Riders for sure, but when when you've been lazy with the pen and you're just concerned about producing songs, when you need to go into a battle where you really need to be able to write,
Yeah.
you're just not gonna have it there.
He was too big to fail for a while there.
Yeah,
And it caught up with him. But it's a combination of that laziness you talked about and the the,
arrogance.
the big mad defense
Yep.
coming biting him in the butt. I would say this. I want to say this. I think I have my closing thing would
Okay.
be um there's a lot of people who are going to look at this battle and go, "Oh, these kids these days, they're pointing fingers," right? You point fingers at Drake as a pedophile. You point fingers at Kendrick for being, you know, a spousal abuser, and you're
Mm-hmm.
digging into these gossip and allegations. Who cares? Why do you even care about this stuff? I want to speak to my old people right now.
Okay.
I engage with a lot of young people. I kick it. I listen to them. I respect them, right? That's what this job is, right? Everyone I talk to who is of that in that younger bracket, none of them are trying to cancel anyone. They want public accountability.
Mm.
The way you should think about it, don't think of it as cancel culture. Think of it as you're going to buy a vehicle. It's used. You want to know what the good parts of the vehicle are and what the bad things about the vehicle are.
Mm-hmm.
You want to kick the tires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to check the struts. I don't know what struts are. You got to check the struts. Um, so they're basically saying, look, okay, you're a great rapper, but I don't want to walk around everywhere for 6 months, tell everyone how great you are, and then in the 7th month, you gun butt a lady in the face on the videos everywhere, and now I'm looking like an asshole.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I want to know what's going on now so that I can figure out
Make
how bad this is,
make an informed decision.
make an informed decision. It, it's not saying that everyone should be perfect. That's how it's framed all the time. Is like
Mhm.
you want everyone to be perfect. No, they know everyone's not perfect, so they don't trust you when you're trying to pretend to be perfect.
Mm.
That's my rant. Rant over. Rant out.
Mm.
What were your closing thoughts on this thing?
Well, for me, I think we're really at. I think when I say that this is for the soul of hip hop, I kind of mean that literally. I think we're at a tipping point with AI where a lot of these rappers or a lot of artists, period, in general, can be like, and I think AI was a big component of the early part of the battle, because I remember when push-ups came out, people were like, "Oh, is this AI?" Like, no one knows if this is AI or if this is really Drake. And then even Taylor Made, like Drake leans into it and uses the AI voices. So I think we're getting to a crossroad in hip hop where people it could get to a point where people are just literally renting out their voice and their body. You can have the AI write a song,
Yeah, that's
and
fucked
then
up.
you just have a person go on stage and mime the song.
Yeah, the AI part of this is gross. Uh, it's gross and it's awful.
And I for me, like the fact that we couldn't tell if like for most of the early disses, we couldn't tell if Drake the person did it or if it was Drake AI. That's very concerning to me.
Yeah,
So I think what Kendrick is showing is there's some things that replicate that AI can't replicate yet, and those need to be celebrated in hip hop, not spurned for being too try hard. Like trying to really impress and trying to go above and beyond with your lyrics should not be something that's looked down upon. Putting effort into your work, which I don't think Drake has put. He has not, to me, in my opinion, he has not put in effort in any of his projects for the last maybe 10 years.
I'm with. Yeah,
And so,
yeah, well done, well
so
said.
when you go against someone, or when you're talking about an artist like Kendrick Lamar, or even Esperanza Spalding,
Hmm.
who who's trying to push their craft, and you're trying to cast aspersions on them and deem them a try hard, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got now there's a mountain of people against you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Kendrick's a tryhard and he's awful. And now Metro's a tryhard and he's awful. Now Future's a tryhard and he's awful. Now Rick Ross is a tryhard, he's awful. Now Megan's like you're like, how many is so like
Cole, he called Cole
right.
a mean name. Like
When it
Pharrell, he took
yeah,
shots at Pharrell.
Pharrell. When is this actually about you?
Right.
Right? Like when are you the one who's the problem here? So that's why this is very Macbeth to me. Um, and it felt like this was much harder for Drake than it was for Kendrick.
Harder in what way?
Like it didn't feel like Kendrick was exerting that much effort. Like he was working hard, but he was ahead by 30 points the whole time. Like there
Oh
was
yeah, and I think he held back. I think he held back.
right. I'm with you.
I think there's thing for me. Like I don't think that the battle. I don't think what I'll say is I don't think Kendrick stopped the battle off of his own goodwill, goodwill towards Drake.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, they stopped it. They stopped it. But like it's the
yeah,
also but he waited, let everybody throw their little jab disses, and then he came in surgically, released a ton of music, covered all the bases, left
yeah,
him nowhere to go. Um, and it may happen, it may come to a fruition or whatever. But there were gunshots outside of Drake's home in Toronto, right? And they
right.
immediately were like, "Oh, might be Kendrick," and like they were insinuating the Kendrick thing, and I got really pissed because I was like, "You guys love talking about rapper beefs. You love talking about black on black violence. Okay, there's nothing like black people don't even get mentioned by the Republican Party unless it's about black on black violence, right?
Fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
But where the fuck were they when YNW Melly spent 5 years in jail without a trial? Where were they? Right? Like, there's countless. Where were they all those fucking years when Meek Mill's parole officer was losing the marbles, right? And just sending him back and sending him back and sending him back for no good reason. Like, you guys don't. The public sphere only cares about these rappers in certain ways, and doesn't care enough to see all the evil shit that gets perpetrated onto hip hop every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I don't want to get weird about
I agree.
it. So if do you have anything else, or should we go to recommendation corner?
No, let's go to recommendation corner.
Let's do it, buddy. First one is Block Runners, the album by Abstract Museum and Guilty Simpson. Oh my gosh. Guilty Simpson is awesome. Detroit MC, badass, uh, just kicking down tracks over and over again. It's a beautiful thing. He's absolutely the first. If you say Detroit MC, I think Guilty Simpson first. The other one I got really into is from last year, Where the Flowers Don't Die by Mona Leo.
Hmm.
Mona Leo has a great feature on uh on the Flo Milli album. Never. The song's called Never. And I was like, who is this person? And I dug into her album from last year. It's some of it is very quiet, beautiful sung R&B. Some of it is like kick you in the teeth female pimp rap. And I love that combination.
Okay.
My jam. So I'm really into that. Man. And for those who don't know, man, uh, Sacco and Vanzetti are back. And it's great. The let's see here. I got a link to it. There we go. Behemoth. The album's called Behemoth.
Hmm.
Sacco and Vanzetti have been making cool shit for a long time. This album, Behemoth, is a double album. 2 discs. And Not Really's on it, and Jesse the Tree's on it, and Patty Honcho, all the guests of our show. People, yeah, so it's good. Crazy stuff. It's a lot of fun. They make fun ass music. So everybody should go on Bandcamp, check that shit out. It's a beautiful thing. Might have them on. I mean, making a double album is a hell of a thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm super excited to maybe engage about how that process was done. Yeah. Sacco and Vanzetti, Sco, Shaw, great. So what have you got? What have you been bumping?
I actually went back to I've kind of been in like an R&B phase right now. So I actually went back to Michael Jackson's Invincible,
Yeah.
the last album he released. And like I listening to it now, like it held up. It's a really good album.
Written by R. Kelly,
Oh no.
wasn't it?
No. He's got Dark Child on here. He's got
I thought that was the
who's
one
the
that was
woman
written
from
by R.
Flochi?
Kelly.
Marsha Ambrose, I think it is. She's got a song on here. Uh yeah, I mean it's a really solid album. And just it just shows you, I know we had a show like a couple of maybe years ago regarding the state of R&B. And it's just it was to me it was just a relic of how R&B used to be. So that's what I would recommend. Michael Jackson's Invincible.
Oh, R. Kelly did Cry.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
R. Kelly wrote Cry. Yep. 77 minutes that thing. Woo. And so yeah, different time. I I have struggled to really get into a lot of R&B this year so far.
Yeah.
But I found my jam.
Okay.
Tenfold by Yaya Bay.
Yeah, but
Listen to that shit, dude. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful.
okay.
I've already emailed her. I'm already hoping she comes to us. But it's a beautiful album. We'll figure out how to talk about it either way. Yeah. But yeah. Stay safe out there. When people start talking dumb about hip hop, nicely correct them. Don't let them keep perpetrating that hip hop people are angry, dickhead people. Be considerate, but let these motherfuckers know. What?